Matt, you know what I don't have to worry about anymore?
What's that, Adam?
How we get scored in ski shows.
You suck.
It's showtime. This is The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast, and your one and only source for all things show skiing, bringing you news, knowledge, and interviews with the legends and stars of our sport. Here are your hosts, Matt Heilman and Adam Schaller.
Welcome to the Ski Show, still the only media on the planet dedicated to the sport of show skiing. Coming off our last episode with the Catfish Bay jump team. That was awesome. If you haven't listened to that, those guys are fantastic, on the rise. We're going to talk a lot of freestyle jump today on this episode, kind of on the heels of that. Cool stuff. Today we're talking all things scoring system. How do we feel about it? What changes could be made? Do we like it? What parts do we like? What parts could be changed of our current scoring system today? We're going to dive in. It's just going to be Adam and I and Dave shooting the shit, talking the scoring system. So you're going to just tune into a regular conversation that we have all the time.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I'm supposed to be here other than just to maybe keep you and Dave on task.
Fair. That's fair.
But today's sponsors are the Board Shop. All your summer and winter board sports gear is yours at bswake.com. The Paul Stokes Agency at American Family Insurance. Let Paul be your insurance agent. And as always, Flyman Skis, custom-made jump skis and featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. You can get yours at flymanskis.com.
All right, big event last weekend was the final buck-up stop of the year. That was at Jack Travers in Florida. Cool event. Okay, so they did men's and women's freestyle. They added a trios event. So Flyman Skis is the title sponsor. They went ahead and added a trios event, which ended up being super cool. But the men's event had this giant list of awesome jumpers. Great turnout for that. The ladies, a little thin on entrance, only 3 of them, which is a bummer given all the prize money that's being thrown out for men's and women's. So you like to see the women's side continue to grow, but only 3 were there for that. Nonetheless, a great conversation or competition. Let's highlight some of the stuff from this weekend. Cale Duquesne took first place. Second place was Nathan Fedorowicz. And third place was Pete Hegarty. All right, Great finals. We'll talk about the scoring in a bit because it's a little different how guys approach it in prelims versus finals. And we'll get into that in a minute because they approach what they're doing a little bit differently. But Cale ended up winning. Cale was last in the running order for Buck Up. He got to go last in finals. And Pete had the opportunity to put a little pressure on him. And he fell on one of his 2 jumps in finals. Pete, I think, I haven't talked to Pete, but he went out first to do a back half. My guess is he was going to do a back half and a 1-ski front. I don't know if he's going to do back half and front half. But if he makes both jumps, he puts a little pressure on Cale. He missed one of his back halves. He redid that and made a back half. Cale then essentially didn't have to push himself in finals. He didn't have to do a back half or a front half. He did his mob, which he's money on, and then he did a 1-ski gainer, and that was enough for him to secure first place. So it's interesting the way that plays out, and it's such an advantage to go later in the running order to know what you have to do. Yeah. Dave, you watched some of that, Dave, on the men's side. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Let's see. Notable things to take away. Um, Cale Duquesne probably has the largest 1-ski front half that has been done that I've
He's
seen.
cutting at that and going up. It's amazing.
Yep. And I mean, and again, I don't profess to have seen all the footage, but I mean, you'd be hard charged to go ahead and go back on YouTube and find Reinhardt video and whatnot,
Yeah.
of a one ski front half that big, that long. That was extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Kale kept that under wraps. I was I was more intrigued with the semifinals than the finals, because the guys went ahead and they put it all out on the line on the in the semifinals. So you had Kale going ahead and doing Mobe, then one ski back half, then one ski front half. I think that's what he did, correct? And then
Yep.
Pete did his out of his three. I know he did his back half, he did his front half, nailed it. Ethan made Mobe, made back half. You had 103-foot one ski fronts by Liam Klotzbach as well as Nathan Fedorowicz.
Wow.
You had 720 attempts. You had again Liam going ahead and going to the moon on a two ski gainer. It was extremely, extremely entertaining. It was so fun to
Yep.
watch. And then I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, like based on the format, and again, hindsight's always 2020, right? But the finals was a little bit of a buzzkill for me, because those guys were putting it out there during semis, and you wanted that same approach in finals, and you didn't get that.
So it's interesting. There's a double-edged sword there. So there's a few elements in play. So one is they're playing for prize money, and
100%.
they'd rather take third place than fourth place,
Can't blame them.
right? Because they cash.
Yep.
So as long as they hit the podium, they're happy. So if they full send it and risk not hitting the podium, they don't make any money.
Right.
So if they play it a little conservative but maybe don't win, at least they're making $1,000 or whatever it is. Like they're still taking home money. And so that's in
Sure.
the back of their mind, like, all right, well, I could send this and try to win it, but I want to make sure I make some cash.
Yeah, and to your point, they need to make it into the finals, so that's why they're probably being more,
Yeah.
they're less risk adverse going ahead and pushing it into the finals. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's so like let's go ahead and talk about that, the scoring system, but we'll get into the ladies in a second. So I had a great conversation with Derek and Carter this weekend about it. I am currently not a proponent of the current buck up scoring system. And we had a nice talk about it. They know this, and we've chatted, and I told them we're going to talk about it on the podcast. What it essentially is now is in prelims, if you hit the distance ball, you get an automatic qualifier to finals. At least to top 5 scoring guys that hit the buoy ball, the distance ball, make finals. So what that means is, and I'm not going to name any names here, but I'm going to lay out a scenario that happened at Buck Up. A skier who did a one ski mob and a back half did not make finals, made both, and a skier who did a one ski gainer and a one ski flip made finals because of the distance. Now they all know this going in, so
Yep.
you can so Derek and Carter, we talked about this. So the skier who did the mob and back half fully knew and is capable of hitting the ball on another jump and could have just played the system to get into finals. I personally believe that the best, highest scoring jumps belong in finals. And the best jumpers were not all in the finals because of the system. And it is what it is. You got to play the scoring system, the hand you're dealt. But I personally would rather see our best, highest scoring jumpers in the finals. And
When you say that, Matt, just to clarify, when you say the best highest scoring jumps, what you're really talking about is the highest DOD being executed, basically,
Correct.
correct?
Correct. Yes, exactly. So somebody who
Regardless
makes
of
somebody who
distance.
makes a back half and a front half should probably be in the finals. They're among the world's elite jumpers. And they belong in the finals of this tournament. But the system is set up that way. So I talked to Derek and Carter about this, and here's where that conversation went. It's worked out well for them because their goal from the beginning of Buck Up, they added distance buoys and multipliers for it to encourage distance. And it's absolutely worked. It has grown the sport in that way. So, but when they first instituted it, one guy was hitting the distance buoy, Liam Klotzbach.
Yep.
And what Derek told me yesterday was we did not envision the evolution of the sport happening this quickly. And so it did. And so it's caught up to them and their scoring system in a way that now 6, 7, 8 guys are hitting the distance buoy and they're all sending distance, which is awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. That is beautiful, and that was needed in freestyle jump. And the Buckmans instituting that as a multiplier and part of their program has worked. Mm-hmm. It has played in the favor of freestyle jumpers going bigger, sending it bigger, doing beautiful things. But I now believe there's a happy medium here. Okay, I believe, and I told them this, I think instead of just the guys hitting ball automatically qualify, let's take our top 3 point scorers no matter what. You score the highest DOD executed, your score, your DOD times your technical score, the math, your top 3 guys in math make finals no matter what. Then let's take our next 3 that hit the distance ball and put them in finals. There's still an automatic qualifier for those guys, but let's find a happy medium between the two, our best scoring, most talented jumpers, and our distance guys hitting the ball. Where's the happy medium? And I think they're going to have some conversation this winter about it, but Derek's point was super valid and really poignant. Like, the evolution happened really quickly.
Well, can't you just move the ball?
Yeah.
Push the ball out farther?
You can.
Well, there's one of 2 things that you could do. You could move the ball, but the other thing that you could do, and so Matt, that would maybe address making finals. But I think when it gets right down to it, maybe, and again, it's all about evolution right now. So to your point, love what was done, but maybe we're at a point now where distance has overtaken DOD too much.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you go ahead and dial back the bonuses that are associated with making each one of the balls. So that's another variable that could be bantered about and
You
debated.
certainly could from a score standpoint in finals where, so then how do those scores play out? That said, Pete made a back half and he outscored a couple of guys who made 2 jumps. His one jump as an 8.5 one ski back half, or I think it's an 8 point, maybe 7.5, 8 or 8.5 DOD. He made that, and his one jump placed him in 3rd place. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, interesting stuff. Congrats to all the men. I know we have a lot of conversation about this. They are sending it, and the women. We're going to talk about the women in a second. But freestyle jump is in a beautiful place. These guys are sending it. The young talent is out of this world. Cal O'Connor and Logan Fedorowicz both threw one ski 720s and almost made them. One ski 720s.
Yeah.
Like, Logan and Nathan Fedorowicz are about on par distance-wise now with Liam Klotzbach on one ski fronts. Like, it is awesome, this young talent. Dallas Hovda made finals, hit the ball twice. Like, wow, these guys are crushing it. Ethan Schulda did not make finals, but he made back half. He made a one ski mob. Just unbelievable. So,
And again, that progression, a lot of what we were seeing here started, 4 years ago, 5 years. I don't know what it was with Buck Up, right?
Yeah.
And giving these guys additional opportunity. And so, again, hats off to Derek and to Carter, to Nick and Jack, who are live streaming these events and whatnot. I mean, again, it's so gratifying watching these kids do what they do and doing it so well and taking it to the next level. It's so cool.
100%. So
Let's talk about the girls.
Oh, I mean, 3 girls competed. Sarah Fedorowicz, Bailey Hyatt, Presley Cup. They finished in that order. Sarah Fedorowicz, Bailey Hyatt, Presley Cup. Bailey stuck the snot out of a one-ski flip.
She was happy about that one.
So
Yeah, she
happy.
looked good.
She's
Yeah.
like, Bailey is so fun to watch. She's either like all or nothing. She either makes all of her jumps and rides away with a championship like she did at Nationals a couple years ago, or she blows up. But it was so fun to see her stick the crap out of that. Presley made a two-ski flip, took third place, but the conversation is about Sarah Fedorowicz, right?
Yeah, it is.
One ski
Yeah, it
flip,
is.
one ski gainer, and attempted back half.
Was probably the defining moment of the tournament from what I hear and what I, saw from the webcast. My understanding is
Yeah.
that everybody got their phones out at that point in time and was on their feet. And yeah, I mean, holy shit. Wow.
I mean,
Incredible.
we would 4 years ago on this podcast, if we were talking about women's freestyle jump, any freestyle jump, we would not even have this conversation. Wouldn't even entered our brain at any point in time ever. And a female, Sarah, breaking so many boundaries, threw a back half, almost made it, and then today, still down at Travers, as we're recording this, the next day after Buck Up, nearly made a back half. If this was earlier in the season, she'd probably be making some this summer, but we'll see what happens this fall if she sticks with it. But holy crap.
The family in general, and so quick digression, but like this doesn't happen on accident. Like these kids probably go off the ramp more than I don't know it to be true, right? I'm just
Yeah.
making a statement, but the amount of ramp time that these three kids are getting, and they've dedicated themselves. This is what they
Yeah.
do. They
Yeah.
eat, breathe, and sleep it, and you can tell, like you said, Nathan 103-foot.
Yeah.
One ski front, Logan 720s,
Yeah.
Sarah doing what she's doing, being at the pinnacle, doing stuff that we never thought she would do, and then the back half that doesn't happen overnight, and it's
No.
just they're a craft. They look at it as a craft, and they are so passionate about it.
Sarah needs to be on the cover of Water Skier magazine. What she is doing is unbelievable. Her score would have put her in the men's finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
She scored high enough on her one ski flip and one ski gainer to have made the men's finals. That's crazy. She is
Yeah, and we'll talk
crushing
about
it.
trios in just a second here, but she also in trios goes right up the middle on a one ski
Gainer.
with a
Up the
flip
gut.
gainer flip.
Yep.
And I mean, sends it straight. I mean,
She
she's
throws it straight back.
just and laid out.
Yeah. Oh, so great.
There's not enough superlatives. I mean, she's fun to watch.
Yep.
She's an awesome athlete. She's passionate. She's humble. And she's got a lot going for her. So
Yep.
yeah.
Awesome stuff. All right, let's chat briefly about trios. They added a fun trios event. There's a duos event in the night jump is going to have duos coming up in November in Florida at Championship Lake. The weekend of the NSSA meeting, that second weekend of November, there's going to be a duos, but this was a trios. And
Not a big act trios. This is three people.
No,
doing
not
it.
trios. Not two guys, one girl, and a pole, Adam. This was first place. Pete Hegarty, Liam Klotzbach, and Eli Carson took first place. And they did triple flip, flip gainer flip, and get this, back half gainer flip. 3 men on the ramp. Back half gainer flip.
They were flawless, which is awesome.
Unreal. Like to do a back half with 3 dudes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
You want to know the coolest part? And I don't know if you guys caught this, but during the webcast, they made their second jump, which was, what was it? The triple gainer was first, right? And then I can't remember what it was. Anyway, made the second jump. He goes skiing into the dock. His back half is waiting there. The other guys go around the island. By the time they came around the island, ultimately Pete's ready to go, and they just
Uh-huh.
take him off the dock. It was
Wild.
sweet.
That's
It was
awesome.
sweet.
Yep. So kudos to them on taking first place in the trios. Eli is nurse and mono, came back, called those guys up, asked if they wanted to compete, got in it. Second place was Brett, Ethan, and Luke Carson. Fun little trio there. Third place was Kale, Dallas, and Alex Carrillo. Yeah, so awesome stuff there.
Yeah, congrats to everybody. That's just sounds amazing. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, so great stuff. Well, awesome buck up. We can't recap the buck up, Adam, without talking about Flyman skis. Not only were their skis all over the event, they were the title sponsor. They've gotten into live streaming. They live streamed this buck up, previous events. They're going to be live streaming the night jump, send it night jump, and the turkey shoe out. They've really gotten into this streaming at a high level, multiple camera angles, relevant commentary, replays, and they've helped us all watch these great events live.
Yeah, and their skis took first place in both men's and women's events with top athletes literally everywhere riding them and thriving on Flyman skis. They're fully customizable, and Flyman skis when you see them out there on the water.
Yep. Whether you want great jump skis, featherboard swivel skis, or you want them live streaming more events, Flyman has got you covered. Check them out at flymanskis.com. That's flymanskis.com. All right. Last thing before we get into our scoring system talk, Ski Show Awards. Rocking and rolling. We are getting ready for Think Tank. The committee is hard at work, hours of work. Dave, you're on the committee. Adam and I are actually not on the awards committee. You're a voting member of this committee. Talk a little bit about the work you guys are doing right now.
Like you said, it's a commitment, right?
Uh-huh.
Anytime we get together, bare minimum 3 hours. Going ahead, going through candidates. I think we're on our third or fourth meeting now, and we just got through the initial set of vetting through the how many? 40?
31 or 32
Uh,
award categories.
31, 32 awards,
Yep.
and it's been fun. And we haven't even gotten into the hard part yet,
No.
in terms of really getting into the debate and, breaking things down. So, but I can't speak enough of the committee themselves. We've got every region covered.
Mm-hmm.
We take uh, we take whatever time is necessary for each and every award to make sure that we take into account any and all opinion. It's a class act, and these guys are always taking an unbiased approach and one in which they are open-minded to all different types of dialogue, talk, debate, and whatnot. So it's been fun. It's been one of my favorite things to do over the course of the last 3 years, and getting to know these people and seeing how much passion each of them have. I can't say enough about those that are on the committee.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Big thank you, and shout out to the committee for all the work you guys are putting in. It makes for one awesome event at Think Tank.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the awards are so important. I feel like these have become very important awards in the sport of show skiing. And they're relevant and they're cool. And the top 5 nominees, when we release them, are fun and exciting for everybody. And this committee is doing all the legwork to make sure they do it right. And there's a lot of integrity into the process. And so that's fun. So it'll be great. We're about, 6 to 8 weeks out from announcing our top 5 nominees in each category. And then tickets going to be on sale for the award show. Think Tank, you need to be there. It is a show ski reunion. And let's pack that award show and have a blast. So
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to now dive into the scoring system, our current show ski scoring system. And this conversation might go a variety of different ways. We don't necessarily have a specific pathway where we want this to go, other than these are conversations that Dave and I have all the time, like just bantering about. We have these conversations with other people all the time. These are beer tent conversations. These are post-tournament conversations. We pick people's brain like Jeff Hankey and others, and we're always chatting about about the sport in this way. So today we're talking specifically about the show ski scoring system. I think first and foremost, the thing I want to throw out is how complicated our scoring system is. Like, I don't know that there's another sport on earth with as complicated of a scoring system as we have. Scoring acts, 4 components to each scoring act, box scores, multiple things to watch and score, the math, all the, like, it is complicated. If you guys, listeners, can find a sport with a more complicated scoring system, love to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, if you want a visual of that, you can just look at a rule book. And again, this is not, being critical. This is just, again, to your point, Matt, this is just banter or
Yeah.
whatnot, personal opinion. But yeah, take a look at the rule book. It's color coded. I mean, you've got every color under the rainbow, which is there for a reason. It's to go ahead and identify at different years, at different times, the rules that are changing and how they changed and how they evolved over the course of time. But yeah, it's pretty in depth in comparison to just about any and every other sport.
Yeah. And God bless our officials. Like, what they
Yes,
have to do.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, I've been in that tower. I've judged several tournaments. I don't do as much as being as involved as we are, but I've judged D3 state a few times. I've judged some other tournaments. I've judged D2 nationals once. It is freaking hard. Like, all the things you have to watch, and those officials, like, God bless them on all the things they have to do. And it makes you wonder, like, is there an easier way? Would it make sense to simplify our system? Can we simplify our system, or are we already down a rabbit hole that's way too far for that?
Yeah, I think that's probably where a lot of this conversation is going to go tonight, right? Or today.
Yeah.
And where a lot of our conversation has gone in the past is just how can we simplify it? Because I think if you polled everyone, everybody would be in agreement. Boy, if we could come up with a simpler concept, uh, everybody would welcome that and embrace that.
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. Like,
Nope.
we're not going to have all the answers on this podcast. We're going to talk about ideas. We're going to throw out stuff and thoughts and general banter, but we don't have all the solutions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to, that it's complicated, I've been in the sport for 20 plus years, and, granted, I've got Matt as a crutch who understands it, so I never had to, but if you put 100 show skiers in a room and you asked a, show of hands, how many people think they fully grasp our scoring system, how many hands are going to go up? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's complicated.
It is. It really is. Now, I want to dive in and talk a little bit about the difficulty charts in particular. It's become a little bit of a lightning rod over the last couple of years. There's pros and cons to the difficulty charts that I really want to dive into. So let's start with the pros, what we like about the difficulty charts. I think they've helped in numerous ways. Most importantly, judges' scores have improved. They are more in line with one another. There's more objectivity and there's less subjectivity because of the difficulty charts. They have a formula, a system they're following to objectively come up with that score.
Yeah, I mean, they've been value add up until this point overall, right?
Yep.
They've brought a level of objectivity. Um, we've got 4 different scoreable components for each act. We've got difficulty, execution, flow, and spectator appeal. And ultimately, that difficulty, for the most part, not in every act, if you execute it 100%, you can count on getting that score that's delineated in that difficulty chart or something very, very close to that score. And I think that overall has been appreciated and welcomed
Yep.
by the vast majority of show directors, judges, and whatnot. It's allowed more consistency and standardization within the sport and the scoring. And I think it's been good overall.
But
Agree.
there's been an unintended consequence of that, and
That's correct.
that is limiting creativity, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you just said it. Like, uh, I don't know that we envisioned this when we rolled out the difficulty charts
No,
and
there's no way
grew
you could
them to where it is. But I do think you're right. I think you said it right, Adam. Unintended consequence is that it's limited creativity. And here's why. And I talked about this summer. I actually talked about it with Dave. I talk about it with Jack and Abby all the time. Like, my kid Jack is super sharp, but he's probably now smarter than me about the scoring system and all things show skiing. And Abby, they know it all. But the conversations we have are like scoring the known versus the unknown. And teams are now feeling, I am, like if we want to put out a competitive show, we have to score what we know will score well rather than risk putting out something that we don't know how it will score. And that has become a challenge for show directors and an unintended consequences. It maybe so limiting creativity is a part of that. Like, I feel like I have to follow a formula. I know that this pyramid scores well. This exact ballet line, if I follow the formula, we're going to score. Barefoot circles, prefabs, like there's specifics and there's a formula in place that tells you how you're going to score. And going outside of the formula, outside of the difficulty charts, presents risk. Doing a montage type act, doing something that isn't associated with a chart right now presents challenges for show directors, and in turn is limiting our desire to be creative and think outside the box because we feel like we have to follow this formula. It just came up the other day, Dave, and I thought about this. The difficulty committee was presented with an idea to add a chart for trick and sky ski. And my initial inclination, I haven't responded on this email thread, but my initial inclination is like, God, no. Like, I think that will be the beginning of the end of trick ski and sky ski and ski shows. Because when you start putting numbers on a chart for sky ski, like Gino Jockler things that he does, now the lesser stuff, now nobody's rolling that out in shows anymore because it's not going to score worth a shit.
Well, yeah, and I mean, here's where the conversation can go multiple different ways, right? And so the difficulty charts right now have a compression issue that is embedded within them. So what I mean by that for the listeners is you can score anywhere from zero, theoretically zero, to 25 points. The sport has evolved especially within the last 5 to 10 years, at a rapid pace that new tricks, new maneuvers, larger pyramids, so on and so forth, and you can go down the line are being done, and you only have so much difficulty, so many points to work with, and therefore there is compression. There's literally 1 point separating significantly more difficult pyramids, for example, and we can get into specifics if we want to at some other time, but we have a compression issue right now, and that is only going to get magnified and become more and more evident as time goes on. Second thing, just real quick to tail off of what you were saying, this was the first year that, again, for every act that has a difficulty chart, it's plug and play basically. But there are core acts within our ski shows that don't have a difficulty chart that are now being affected. And for example, one that we all have in our shows is swivel. Now, this year, it kind of, if you're a student of the scores, it was kind of, there was
Scores
a little
came
bit of a
back
bounce
up.
back. Scores came
Yeah.
back up, and
Yeah.
good for the judges. Good for the judges for doing that. But for the past, aside from this year, the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, if you had a 350 point swivel act, that was a good act.
Hmm.
And, 350 points, that's not that high when you're then looking at other acts that could go into the show that's going to be 400 point plus. Another one is strap doubles.
Yep.
And that's not even getting into the trick skiing, the
Hmm.
foiling and whatnot. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think probably those suggestions are coming along to the difficulty committee, and kudos for people putting them forth. The problem is that where history has had it, we score the best hydrofoil that we've ever seen, the double
Yep.
twisting mobe or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it all comes down from there, and you're never able to get those high scores.
Yeah. So it's a challenge, right? So then you're looking at what to score, and I'm thinking, well, let's put out a second ballet line. Let's put out a third ballet line instead of a second swivel act.
Yeah.
Let's put out another pyramid. Because these are known quantities and we know the number. And so now shows probably become more cookie cutter. Everybody's following a formula. Like the ballet chart to me, just that one alone is too traditional. And this is coming from a guy who is show director of a team with the two highest scoring acts of the entire season were the state and nationals Mad City ballet lines, 454 and 460. And I think the ballet chart is way too traditional. It says, here's how you score. 3 revolutions, toe hold, seat hold, heel hold, unbraced, clean landing, prop on the water. So everybody has to follow that formula. Why do we have to follow that formula? So then of course we do, and we score great, but why isn't there room for creativity? Why isn't there room for somebody to bring a ballet line straight? Why isn't there room for whatever outside the box idea there is? Nobody's even thinking of those outside the box ideas any longer because they're following a formula. Like our brains don't even go to creative ideas anymore because we go directly to the charts. Like I used to be like creative mind. Like I used to think in ways that are out. Mad City's done what tandem was outside the box and all these things. And when I was a younger show director, what could we do that's cool and creative? And now it's what can I do according to the charts that will score well?
Yep.
And that is negatively impacting our sport.
Yeah, it's negatively impacting shows. And from a stage standpoint, when you have 2 ballets and your first one is awesome, right? And even the second one's awesome, you still lose some of that excitement. Even as an announcer, you know it's going to be a good act, but like you're saying to the crowd, well, we're going to do this again.
We're running this back because we know it scores according to the
It's
chart.
the same girls. It's the same number. It's going to be
Yep.
the same 2 passes. And I'm supposed to get people excited about that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. But I get
Yeah,
why
and
we do it.
here's another way that again the difficulty charts have negatively impacted. And I once again I don't think we ever envisioned this when we adopted them, but there has been some conversation around this one, and that is when you go ahead and you try to kind of bust out of the mold and you take two two different components. I always call them components. So let's say it's a front barefoot line, and let's say you've got 10 guys, and that 10 guy front barefoot line scores, I don't know off the top of my head, Matt, 8 points, 9 points, whatever it may be. But you know what? You've got another boat, and you got a couple other guys that they can't front barefoot, but they can go ahead and they can do a couple helis, or they can go ahead and they can do
Yeah.
a couple front flips. And so now, from a spectator appeal, from a crowd, just from a hey, let's get more people out on the water standpoint, you're bringing that in as a opening act. And right now, the difficulty charts and the way that the judges have been told to score, from my understanding, is that hey, you need to average those two, which ultimately has the potential, depending on what you put down out there, of being less of a score than
Then
if you
doing
were to go
less.
ahead and doing less, as
Yes.
opposed to going ahead and if it was executed fully. So let's say that 8 or 10 man barefoot line was executed fully. It got an 8. You put a couple jumpers out there. Hey, we'll give them a couple more points. We're going to score that at 10 now. A plus model as opposed to an average model.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, don't. You're gonna get both of us started on this. Like, yeah, like it
So
does.
that stifles creativity.
It
That
does, and
stifles opportunity.
globally, that doesn't make sense to me. So what our system says to that example. So like, I've said this on the podcast like 3 times. The original example came up when RAJ 7 years ago did 5 BFPs and a triple front flip or a quad front flip. And the 5 BFPs were like 23, right?
Yep.
And the quad front flip was like a 17.
Side by side, coming
Side by
opening
side.
night. Yep.
Fucking awesome. Pardon my language. And it gets scored down from the BFPs. They said the front flips took away from the difficulty score of the barefoot pyramids. And it globally, 30,000 foot view, any human on earth watching this show would say 5 BFPs plus a quad front flip is way cooler than just 5 BFPs.
Not cooler. It is cooler, but more difficult.
More difficult.
It's a difficulty score. It's a difficulty score. So you're putting more on the water. You're putting more difficulty on the water.
Yeah.
You should be scored more.
And our system says, nah, you should just do the 5 BFPs. And so now we just do the 5 BFPs, or we just do the barefoot line. We don't put anything with it. We just do what the formula, what the system tells us.
Stifles the creativity. And it's not RAJ. Any team could do that. You see
100%.
multiple teams, Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, small, medium, large. They all have the opportunity to do that. You want to maximize the boats. You want to maximize your skiers, your personnel. But if you're truly potentially wanting to go ahead and maximize that score, there are situations that you would think twice about putting more people out on the water and being creative.
Yeah. Fascinating. I hope people find this conversation fascinating. Like, I hope they tune in.
A lot of times people don't know, right? Like
They
they're
don't.
probably like, "What are you freaking talking about?"
Right. Like most people that don't read the rule book, as you mentioned earlier, probably don't even understand that putting those two components together would get averaged, potentially get averaged down instead of getting averaged up, or having some added benefit, a plus benefit. And most people don't know that. And so they put two things together and then they score lower and they're like, why'd we get that score? Well, that's what our system is right now.
And again, these are not singular issues. Like compression falls into from a judging standpoint. Again, they only got 25 points, right? And so it's hard to offer additional point value when you've got such a small margin to work with.
Yeah, well, let's get into that in a minute here. While the scoring system may be a little difficult at times, Adam, what's not difficult is getting gear at the board shop.
Yeah, I mean, the weather's still been great, but summer is officially over. They have fantastic deals on all the summer gear and accessories you could want. Boards, bindings, vests, apparel, and more. And as we look ahead to winter and people hitting the slope soon, they're starting to get in all their newest and best winter sports gear to outfit you and the family.
Yep. And show skiers, you get a discount at the board shop. Visit their shop in Lake Geneva. Go down there. It's awesome. Great spot. Cool stuff. Great hospitality. Say hi to Jason Richling. Go to their store. Or hop online at bswake.com. Use the promo code SHOW15 and get a discount on your purchase. That's bswake.com. Promo code SHOW15. All right, well, so we've talked about the scoring system, pros and cons of the difficulty charts, the potential limiting of creativity, the challenges with where we're at today. Let's talk about a couple of ideas, a couple of other thoughts, and maybe delve into some new concepts potentially. But I do want to ask you, and Adam, this is a great one for you. Should entertainment be worth more?
Yes. But that's very subjective, isn't it?
Sure, yeah, 100%. So we're talking about
Right.
objectivity and difficulty charts with a number. Entertainment value is, oh,
Right.
I like that.
Hence why this is a very complicated system. And can you address one without addressing the other if we have the, degree of difficulty, which is stifling creativity, yet we want to say entertainment should be worth more? Man, like, how do you, yeah, I think entertainment should be worth more, but how do you score that? I mean, it's kind of in line with, the death of scoring comedy. Comedy used to be, back in the day, there were comedy acts that were the highest scoring act in the tournament, and that's not the case anymore.
Adam, you just brought that up. We just had our banquet, and there was a highlight video of all of your best skits. And some
that's
of
also
the
very
classic
subjective.
some of the classic skits we used to score comedy with were just gold. And you know what? You know why we don't score comedy anymore? Because it doesn't have a number on a chart.
Yep.
It's the unknown versus the known.
Mm-hmm.
And comedy is the unknown now. It used to be a known, like we could roll out the best, most hilarious skit and score really well, and it just stopped scoring well.
Yep.
And it is now, with the advent of difficulty charts, comedy is the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And so
nobody wants to take that risk anymore.
Nope. And so entertainment value, how do you score that? Now, at the world level, I don't know if our listeners know this. In our system, skiing scores are worth 2/3 and box scores are worth 1/3. At the world level, rules have been implemented a little differently. They've largely adopted the U.S. scoring system. However, there's been tweaks made, and one of those is that box scores and skiing scores are 50-50 at Worlds. A little more emphasis on some of those entertainment value, production, theme, introductions, showmanship. Those all carry more weight at the world level. How do we feel about that in our U.S. system?
I mean, I'm biased because I come from the stage side of things, but it is a ski show, and so I think that I like the world system better because I think it balances the ski and the show portion. That's my opinion. I mean, what all goes into entertainment value? Is spectator appeal currently our entertainment? Is that entertainment value? Is intros a part of that? What defines entertainment
So,
value?
in the context of what Matt's talking about, it would ultimately be your box scores, um, which of course, it's your towboat driving, pub, docking equipment, sound and audio, but then your overall show as well, and
Mm-hmm.
all the components that make up your overall score, production, costuming, variety, so on. So it would be a, I don't want to say an easy fix because it's not an easy fix, but if people were wanting to put more emphasis on the show and all the components that go into a show and making a show more entertaining, then you could go ahead and you could look at going ahead and taking the percentage from 33 up to 50% and making them equal, similar to the worlds. Myself, I don't know. Like, I think that part of me, you absolutely want to go ahead and reward production and entertainment value. I'm using those, interchangeably with one another. And I don't think that there's a but to that. But in the back of my head, because I'm old school, I always hear, they call it you use the term,
Ski
Adam,
show. It's a
ski
ski
show.
show.
You use the same term. It's a
Yeah.
ski show, right? And so it's it's it's
But it's
it's all
show skiing.
correct.
Our
Correct.
logo right behind me, the ski show.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, like, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, probably depending on how the score went that given
Yep.
day, you're going to go ahead and you're going
Yep.
to like, one way or the other. But I'm not against either. And I do like, I mean, Matt,
Mhm.
Adam, I love production.
Production. You love
I
it.
I
Yes.
love production and going the extra mile to go ahead and
Mhm.
try to bring the crowd into it and everything else. And so I'm not opposed to going ahead and increasing that percentage. But is is our sport ready for
Mhm.
that at a national slash regional level, where then it's going to require more time,
Mhm.
more likely resources. It's going to make you think outside the box a little bit more. But I think, to your point, Adam, it's going to push teams and show directors to bring a better overall entertaining production ultimately to the
A
the
better
stage.
product. Yeah.
A better product. Great, great, great summary. Yes.
Yep. Um, Adam, you asked if entertainment is spectator appeal, and maybe it is. Dave, one of your teammates, Matt Wilson, has um, formulated an idea. It's really a kind of a semantics change, but changing spectator appeal to entertainment value and making that a part of the scoring component of an act. So I'd be curious to learn more from Matt about that on that aspect. But I wonder on the flip side if entertainment belongs in a bigger component of the box scores rather than the scoring component. You and I had talked years ago about looking at. I mean, Dave and I are nerds, as you all know, but we formulated an idea in which spectator appeal would disappear from the skiing acts, that it would just be flow, execution, difficulty, but that spectator appeal would become entertainment value and become a part of the box scores
Within your overall show.
within. Correct.
And
Mhm.
then if you had a format that it was 50-50, theoretically,
Yep.
you could devise it to be equal to what ultimately spectator appeal
Yeah.
could accumulate, 13 acts times 25. You could go ahead and you could give it an equal value.
Number, right.
But what it would do is it would give our judges one less thing to
Hmm.
focus on and be able
During
to
the acts.
during the acts, and focus on what would be remaining, which is execution, difficulty, and flow
And
ultimately.
spectator appeal, let's be honest, is the most
A
nebulous
combination.
category. So nebulous, and it ends up being, you know, in line with the rest of the categories, plus or minus one or two if there was a big crowd appeal. I don't know. Like, spectator appeal is
Matt,
a very nebulous category.
I remember when I brought this up to you a number of years ago. What is good spectator appeal? It is executing the act fully
Hmm.
with great flow.
Yep.
And the higher the difficulty, the more spectator appeal you're likely going to get out of
Yep.
it. Doesn't have to be, but that's it. Spectator appeal is ultimately the culmination of the other three.
So is it redundant?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is it necessary? And if you wanted to go ahead and give a entertainment value, can we go ahead and can we shift that down to the overall show, giving again our judges one less thing, our secretaries one less thing to ultimately focus on?
Yep. Yep. One other idea I want to share to Dave's point about compression within the score. So, like, let's look at the jump chart, for instance. There's 25 points, and there's 100 jumps we're trying to fit into a 25-point chart. So, Dave and I and Rafe Gross spent the better part of probably 18 months.
18 months.
We did, wasn't it? I'm not
Yeah.
lying. It,
No.
It was,
No, and
and we
yeah.
met with Jeff Hankey, JoJo, Ellen Sox, among other judges, to float this idea to them. Maybe Debbie. Who else was in that initial meeting? Anyway, we wanted to float this idea, so we crafted an idea. Rafe is like super smart spreadsheet guy, and he had all the points figured out. But here's the concept: difficulty and execution go hand in hand right now in our current system, and the judges are educated that way. Like, if there's more that's being executed, you get more points. So what we came up with as a way to expand the room on the charts, among other things, is make execution and difficulty one category, a technical merit category. It's out of 50. Same value it is today. It's difficulty and execution, 25 points each, but one category out of 50. And it creates more room on the chart for all the pyramids to slot in, all the jumps to slot in, all the barefoot lines, what have you. And the concept was this: a perfectly executed X, double 4 tiers. Let's just take that for an example. 2 4 tiers, up by dock, held through the show course, locked out, comes back to the beach. That is a certain number on the chart. Let's call that out of 50. Let's call double 4 tiers a 22. We have these numbers on a chart. I don't have it in front of me right now. We laid it all out. Every difficulty chart.
We redid the difficulty
We
charts.
redid every difficulty chart
a
into
number of
50
them.
points. Yes.
Yep.
But what would happen then is, if it was not locked out, or if somebody fell, or if it wasn't up by dock, they would get that 22 and go down from there. So the number on the chart is perfectly executed, and then it would go down from there. And then having those two categories be rolled into one makes more room on the chart for what we have now, not enough room for what's to come that we don't even know. Like, we talked about stuff at the beginning today we didn't envision 5 years ago. What's to come next? We built the chart so that the current stuff right now only goes to 45, actually, to leave room for what's the next great thing to happen in our sport. But it leaves more room. So if you picture the jump chart or the pyramid chart, instead of out of 25, it goes to 50. But the concept being, perfectly executed, you get the number. And if you have falls or mishaps, the number goes down just a little bit from there.
So it does a number of things. As you pointed out, Matt, it again takes two categories right now that are simultaneous with each other. And just again, I want to give an example of that. So let's say those 2 4 highs right now, if they're on the difficulty chart, there's 2 4 highs, and let's say that's a 14 on the difficulty chart, right? You're not going to get that 14 unless you execute it fully,
Right.
right? And so by nature, the difficulty and the execution scores are tied together. Why not make them just one score?
And on the flip
That's
side
the
of
thought process.
And on the flip side of that equation, if your double 4 tiers loses 3 couples off the dock and comes through with a 3 tier and a 4 tier, you're getting scored difficulty as a 3 tier and a 4 tier.
What you execute.
Because of what you executed. So those two are married.
Yes. So why not simplify it once again, make it one, and then increase by default, increase to a 50-point value. You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're addressing your compression issue then.
Yeah.
Then there's your flow. Just really quick, just tying it. You could either, if you wanted a greater emphasis, here's where I think flow has the greatest opportunity within our shows. And this goes for big teams, especially RAJ, Mad City, Wonder Lake, whatnot. Let's get things moving. And let's go ahead and let's incentivize teams to get things on the water faster versus reload. So yeah, RAJ, you can go ahead and you can run, 5 prefabs off the dock or whatever it may be. But if you spend 6 minutes getting it ready, you're going to get a 10.
Yeah.
or out of 50. Or if you wanted to, you go ahead and you give it a 33, and you can go ahead, or you keep it at a 25. You can do a lot of different things with
Mhm.
it, but ultimately you got some opportunity there. And then once again, you take that spectator appeal, entertainment value, you bring it down into your overall show score.
Yeah.
So all these leading into simplifying things overall.
I think it's an idea that's got a lot of merit yet. We sort of ran out of steam with it, and, you know, I, change
You ran
happens
into
very,
summer. By steam, you mean summer. Like you run into spring
yeah,
or summer. Like,
correct. And then
yeah.
change happens so slowly in our sport. So any of these ideas we have, like, are 2 years down the line from even being a thought among in the system, because they've got to go through committees and the board and then be educated, and there's a lot, because our system is so complicated. Change is difficult. This big of a change in things that we've talked about is really difficult. I think this idea still merits a lot of conversation. I think the execution and difficulty as one would help in a lot of facets and makes a lot of sense to me.
So you talked about, essentially taking two scores and making it into one to help simplify the system. In that vein, do you think judges have too much to look at, too much to score throughout the show?
100%.
How
You
do
and
you
I have
fix
talked
that?
about this.
Yeah, and how do
Yeah.
you fix that?
So
Do
we've
you
talked
go
about this.
the route of specializing, right?
Yes. So, yes. So again, I talked to Matt Wilson about this, and he has a concept for it. But I'm going to share the concept we've talked about as a group. Your son's in drum corps, Adam. Competitive drum and bugle corps.
Very similar to show skiing.
Very similar to show skiing. So these are marching band competitions.
They
And
have
I
a
grew up.
Subjective. Very
Yep.
subjective.
They have a
Yes.
theme. They put on
They
a
do.
show. They
I
have
grew up
costumes.
watching them. So
Yeah.
Camp
Yep.
Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin has hosted the National Drum Corps many, 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 many times. And I had uncles involved with the Madison Scouts in the marching band for years, and we used to go watch. And as I was coming up in show skiing, I was also watching this. And what is fascinating that I learned about the judging in drum and bugle corps competitions is that one judge is responsible for one thing. So there's one judge that judges the drum line for every show. One judge judges the color guard, which is the flag line and all their movement. One judge is up in the tower watching the formations, and they judge just that. One is judging the theme and the musicality. Like, they're all responsible for one thing. Instead of 7 judges responsible for everything, they each have to specialize. And so it makes me wonder, what would our sport look like if one judge did towboat and pickup boat driving? That was their only job. How smart would they be, and how good would they be at just knowing that facet? And 3 judges can judge the scoring acts. And one judge watches production and costuming and backdrops and props. And that's all they're watching for. And they're comparing from show to show. Like, I think it's an idea that merits some discussion and some fleshing out of simplifying it for judges. Now, the pushback that I've heard in the past when I've had this conversation with people is that it opens up bias among our judges, because one judge can influence that category because they're the only judge judging that category. That said, it's only one category.
Yep. Yep.
And I think the benefit is they become a master at that category and know that's all they're watching. They're going to be really good at judging that category.
Or at least for that given day, that given tournament,
Yeah.
that's their focus,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's something that, you had originally introduced to me, Matt, a number of years ago, and it's grown on me. I mean, I had a lot of reservations about it. But it's grown on me. And like I can see, like you pointed out, we have at nationals, for example, we have a 7-judge format. Two judges judging, the 4 scored box scores. Basically, you've got 2 judges that are scoring what we would call just entertainment value, the production aspect, the costuming, the variety, that sort of thing. And then you got 3 judges that are scoring the actual acts out on the water.
Yep.
It feels like that's a win for our judges potentially as well, so that they feel like they can be, that they feel confident in what they are looking for, what they are scoring, what they're seeing, versus just trying to make sure that they catch it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of points on that. So if they went that route, and as a judge, you didn't have to be all things to all people, and you could just be the production judge, I think that brings more people into judging. I right now in no way would ever want to be a judge, but if there was just a production judge,
That's interesting.
You heard it here
concept.
first, folks.
I
Heard it
think
here
so.
first.
I think so. A couple other things is, drum and bugle corps, Matt, you kind of use that as your template. The scores on drum and bugle corps are ridiculously consistent. Like, they're not all over the board. They are, I mean, it's crazy how tight those scores are throughout the season. So I think they've got a good job of getting that figured out. But just like any judging, I heard it from my son. Well, the brass judge was from Colorado, and Colorado was there, and their team scored better, and we got hosed on the brass score. But, you hear that.
That
matter
will
what.
never stop in any subjective sport ever in the history of time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like that I like that idea that maybe it opens the door for more judges, and if it simplifies the world for them, it's worth a conversation for sure.
I'm going to get really granular just based off of what Adam said, though. Right now, if you remember when you take a look at our overall show and the total amount of available points for towboat driving, for they're large numbers. And so it's hard to get consistency with those large numbers. You could always go ahead and dial back the total value of those if you wanted to, and then have a multiplier so that you get a little bit. I mean, you're more likely going to get consistency with let's just say a 25-point score than a 750-point total score.
Yeah.
Right? But if you
It's
still
at least
wanted
gotten-
to equal 750 points, you could extend a multiplier to it.
Yeah.
You know what? So
It's gotten exponentially better since they
Yes.
added a median in the system. There's a median score that they start from and go up or down from there. They used to never have that. Some people would start here, some people would start here, and it was all over the board. 15, 20 years ago, people wouldn't have believed what the scores looked like. So it's come a long way. The system's gotten better. The education's gotten better. Jeff Hankey's done an incredible
Yeah, I was
job
gonna
of
say. Yep.
educating the officials, training, clinics, going through video. Like, all of these things are done at a much higher level. These ideas we're bantering about are, again, just ideas. Like, would it help? Would it simplify the sport? Would it make judges' jobs easier? Would it make it easier for show directors and show ski teams? Can shows be more creative? There's a lot to unpack here, but this is awesome.
And I'm going to say it one more time. It's not to be critical of the scoring system as it is. It's to say, are we at a point where we need to consider evolving given some of the issues that we're seeing around compression and whatnot? So lack of judges. Are there opportunities here? And now's probably a good time to start looking at some of those. It's not to discount all the work that's been put forth in the past and to say, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's to say, how can we improve?
Yep, agree. Well, before we wrap up today, I want to put a little bow on this at the very end here. Adam, let's talk about Paul Stokes and the American Family Insurance Agency. Paul is a fantastic insurance agent with American Family, and you guys should definitely check him out. Paul's tagline is "Get stoked, stay stoked," and with Paul, you're going to get great service.
Yeah, and he's backed by one of the best in American Family Insurance. They can cover all your needs and provide you a service at a very high level. Paul has been helping show skiers and water skiers with their insurance needs for many years, and you should at least reach out for a quote.
Contact the Paul Stokes Agency at American Family today and get that quote and save money in your insurance. Get stoked and stay stoked with Paul Stokes and American Family Insurance. That was an awesome conversation. That was fun. We're just nerding out on score stuff. Who knows if anyone's going to listen or be as engaged as we are. I
think they mainly cut out after the Buck-Up
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious the feedback from our audience. Do you think any of these ideas have merit? What are their thoughts on all of these things we've bantered about? It's fun stuff. Thank you, Dave, for being on the show today. This is fun.
Yeah, it is. Always a pleasure, guys.
And
thank you to our sponsor. Yeah, go ahead.
Matt used the word of the day today, nebulous. For those of you that don't know what that means, that is something that is unclear, vague, or ill-defined. Nebulous.
Nebulous. Yep. That's the second time now we've had a word of the day. Thanks, Adam.
Yep.
Thank you to our sponsors today. Thank you to Flyman Skis. They are live streaming all these awesome events. They're putting out great products, custom jump skis, featherboard, swivel skis. Visit them at flymanskis.com. The Board Shop, whether you need summer, whether you need winter, we're in between seasons right now. Winter sports are coming up. They've got it all for you. Check them out. Show 15 gets you a discount at bswake.com. And Paul Stokes Agency at American Family Insurance. Get stoked and stay stoked with Paul Stokes at American Family Insurance.
And our top 5 nominees announcements for the Ski Show Awards is about 5 to 6 weeks away.
Yeah,
so
not
stay
long.
tuned for that. Get excited.
Yep.
Thanks again to Dave. Thanks again to all of our listeners and our viewers. This is Matt and Adam, and this is The Ski Show.
Thank you for listening to The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast with Matt and Adam. If you have questions or ideas for the show, find us on social media or message us at theskishowpodcast@gmail.com.